Did you guys know that Brawl Brothers is on the Nintendo Switch SNES Classics Collection thing? I bet you did if you own the Nintendo Switch Online service, because it's like the first thing, as you saw, it's the first one on the list. I own a physical copy of this game, but man, have I not played it in years, and I am absolutely awestruck to see this shit appear on the Nintendo Switch. I don't mean shit as in its actual shit, I'm just surprised to see it here, because I'm glad. I mean, this game is not a classic by most people's standards, and I'm sure most people forgot about it by now, but it's going to get a lot of exposure being number one on the list like it is right now. I won't lie, it is a very odd choice, but it's a choice I'm glad about. This game was called Rushing Beat in Japan, and the Japanese version is different, so I'll talk about that as we play. But the music, the very distinctive music, is still here, and that's what's most important, I think. Oh man, I forgot the load times were this long. Alright, so we're playing as Lord J. I like to play as Lord J because I like his grabs a whole lot. So whenever you smash an enemy to the ground, either from a jump kick or a regular throw, they sit up dazed for a moment, and when they're dazed like that, they're vulnerable to your normal combo or another grab. This seems very unusual for beat-em-ups to have your enemy dazed for a moment when they try to get up after you knock them down, but I think it's only fair, considering how difficult this game can be, to give you some window of opportunity to keep fucking them after you've knocked them over, because they will absolutely fuck you after they knock you over, and they won't even wait for you to start sitting up first. Like, there are a lot of enemies whose entire function is just to keep hitting you while you're down. Now, on this bridge, in a moment you'll see, there is a helicopter that will move across the screen and fire, and at first this may seem unfair and random, but it's pretty easy to avoid when you get the hang of it. Oh, and obviously the fellows with guns, they shoot. Just in case you were curious, Flynn and Heckler shoot. That's what they do. So you should try to avoid standing directly in front of them, but that's usually how it goes for most beat-em-ups, is you want to avoid standing directly in front of anyone. And this is Leadhead. His grab hurts a lot, and he can knock you out of the air real easy sometimes. Right, I think the helicopter's right here. Something nice about this game is that if you play it well and understand the enemy types, then they place healing items in just the right places for you to heal yourself. Like, you'll be at your last bit of health, and then they'll be throwing first aid kits or chicken in your way, so that way you can actually continue playing. You have plenty of continues and lives, though, and you can up the continues and lives, so you don't have to be great at the game to finish it, even though it's hard. Where's that helicopter? There it is. So the most important thing about the helicopter is to jump over the fire. Like, I know that seems obvious, but either run and jump over the fire, or just jump and kick over the fire, or do a little hop if you're really, really confident in yourself. But the most important thing is, whatever direction the helicopter is strafing from, jump in that direction. And you'll probably be fine. Because you can absolutely jump over the gunfire. The most important thing is just to jump in the direction the helicopter is coming from. So now that we have a break for a moment... Oh, that was my fault, I walked into that. To be fair, it did intentionally leave a trap there for you, like the helicopter was at a standstill specifically so it could catch you walking into it. Anyway, now that we have some time to talk, I'm going to mention that you may have seen there was an option called Angry Mode in the options menu. See what I mean about the health pickups? But Angry Mode makes your character glow and deal extra damage after they take a particularly hard blow. Like, you get hit real hard, your character starts glowing, and then their throws and punches do more damage. It's nothing outstanding, but, you know, it might add some spice to the gameplay if you really feel like turning it on. I don't think it's all that important, which is weird, because it's a function that really only this game had back then. You know, sort of rage mechanic. So even though you could argue it's like an advertisable feature, like something unique about this game series relatively, back then, it probably isn't important at all. And anyone who came to the game specifically looking for that feature would be disappointed. But then again, it's off by default, which also strikes me as weird. Man, that helicopter apparently was packing more power than it let on. The jump kicks in this game are actually pretty good. They're not high-powered or anything, but they're also not underpowered. They deal decent damage to enemies. And unlike Rival Turf, this game's prequel, the jump kicks do not make you completely invincible, so that's good. Because in this game's prequel, Rival Turf, the jump kicks just made you invincible, which was weird. Just to pick up that sewage chicken and this sewage soda, you know, that's perfectly safe to be putting in your mouth. Why not? So this game has a couple of mazes in it. This is the first one. It's a labyrinthine sewer, which is a bold thing to put in your first level, let me tell you, because most people who play video games don't like sewer levels, and they especially don't like mazes in sewer levels, so it's a very bold decision. There are multiple ways to the exit, but I'm just going to take the one I'm most familiar with, which is to take the first exit in this tunnel, the second exit in the next tunnel, and then all the way to the end at the final tunnel. It is worth noting that the stages in this game are kinda long. Like, I remembered that years ago, and I still remember it now. Stages in this game, pretty long. It can get a little exhausting, but the level of exhaustion, I think, probably depends on how much you're paying attention to what's happening. Like, if you turn your lives and continues on maximum, you don't need to pay that much attention to what's going on. But if you're trying to not die at all, then you need to pay a lot more attention to what's going on around you, and it's probably way less exhausting and tedious. It is worth saying also that, of course, every character has a different playstyle. So I'm not even going to get into that because I don't have the time. But I like playing as Lord J, just because I really like his grabs and his movement speed. I think it's pretty good. I also like his kick hitbox the most. But yeah, Brawl Brothers is on the Switch now. And I think it's okay. It's not the best beat 'em up ever made, but I like it. And I'm glad it's going to get more exposure from being on the Switch. I know a lot of people will probably get frustrated and give up because it's very easy to get stun locked by enemies. And it's a hard game, but I think it's worth the time investment to figure out how to play it because it will make you better at beat 'em ups in general. I'm getting wrecked by this slide kicking fucker. I think his name's Cyberhead. There's another Cyberhead at the end of the tunnel, so if I die here, I'll show you how to deal with Cyberhead when we get there. That was unfortunate. I was hoping I could make it to the end of the stage without dying, but I'll show you how to fight Cyberhead during his second appearance. Yeah, his name is Cyberhead. Some enemies can grab you when you're trying to grab them, and it's sort of like a toss-up who gets grabbed. The way to avoid that is to knock them down first and then grab them. So, you know, some enemies you just walk into to grab, some enemies you want to jump kick first and then grab them. Depends on the situation. There's that health pickup that would have been perfectly placed if we didn't get wrecked by Cyberhead. But we did. I just wasn't prepared for him. I haven't played this game in a long time. But I remember the basics, which is you want to walk into the enemies to throw them, and you want to jump kick when there's an enemy type that will grab you before you grab them. It's the basics. It'll carry you real far. Like, to the final stage, at least. This was such a weird choice to put on the Switch. Could have easily chosen Rival Turf, or the third game in the series, which I don't remember the name of. Or they could have put Combat Tribes or Final Fight, but it was Brawl Brothers. Not that I'm complaining. Because I'm having a good... Okay, here's Cyberhead. So you kick him, and then he falls over, and then you grapple him. So you kick him, and then he falls over, and then you grapple him. That's how you fight that guy. If no one minds, instead of showing the actual first boss, I'm just going to splice my favorite boss fight in here instead. Okay, thanks.